Hello, this is Priscilla, and welcome to the Conversational Hour. Today, our topic is escaping the endless adolescence. I hope that you will enjoy this lesson as much as I enjoyed putting it together for you. We have several things that we can consider as our objective for today. Our primary objective is that as we participate in this activity, that you will be able to use this information as you prepare for perhaps tests such as SATs, PSATs, or GREs. One of the things that is critical is that students who are taking these standardized tests, that you understand that comprehension of what you're reading is key. So today I'm going to assess uh, your ability to find the point of view, the author's purpose, and your ability to identify literary devices. I want to see if you can understand vocabulary in context and find facts. All right, if you're ready to get started, so am I. I'm going to open up our document for today. And here is our document for today. Escaping the Endless Adolescence. This is actually from Escaping the Endless Adolescence by Joseph Allen and Claudia Worrell Allen. Copyright date 2009 by Joseph Allen and Claudia Worrell Allen. Hello, Vincenzo. How are you?
Fine, thanks.
Good
What
to.
about you?
I'm good. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes. It
Thank you
was
for joining me. Thank you.
yes, yes. It's a pleasure. It,
Okay.
it was a period that I was out, no, it's out,
Mhm. Well, I'm
out,
glad that
out,
I'm
out
glad
of
that.
my house, out of my house, and not being
Okay.
enjoying,
Okay.
enjoying
Well, I hope.
family.
Okay. Well, I hope your family as well.
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay.
I with my friends, my daughter,
Mhm.
my brothers, brother and sister. Yes.
Okay. Good. Good. It's always good to have a place to go and spend some time and have some fun.
Yes,
So.
the end of the month, I will no, I'll go for a holiday at the end of the
Mhm.
month for a week. Yeah,
Okay.
for a week in Italy, in
Great.
Rimini.
Great. Wonderful.
Yes,
Okay. Well, let's just go ahead and get started with our lesson for today. I hope that you will find this lesson very informative and just chock full of information that will be beneficial to you. And it's called Escaping Adolescence. So let me just pull up our lesson for today and let me know when you can see the story. Escaping Adolescence. Are you able to see the screen? Vincenzo, are you able to see the screen? Unmute your microphone. Unmute your
and yes,
microphone, Vin.
yes, I see it very clear, teacher.
Okay,
Yes,
great. If you'll notice, on the left side of the screen, I have identified specific lines.
yes,
So you'll see those lines, and we will read from those lines specific information. We'll get specific information from those lines. All right.
yes.
All right. So let us start. And 35. Let's see, one, two. I think we have someone else here with us, so I won't let you read the entire thing. We have Carmen. Hello, Carmen. How are you? It's good to see you again.
Thank you, Priscilla. Good morning to everybody.
Okay. So, what I'm going to ask Vincenzo to do, if you would read from line 1, which is here as 15-year-old, and if you'll just read down to line 15 to where you see the broken, if you will just read to there and stop. All right. If you'll start reading for me, that will be great, Vincenzo. Vincenzo, please unmute your microphone before you start to read.
When he came to see me, Paris wait. Ver, mm, okay.
No, no, at as 15-year-old Perry.
Okay. As 15 year old Perry shuffled into my office, with his parents trailing tentatively behind. He glanced at me with a strained, neutral expression that I'd found usually masked either great anger or great distress. Anger or the same. In Perry's case, it was both. Although anorexia is a disorder most often associated with girls, Perry was the third in a line of anorexic boys I had recently seen. When he came to see me, Perry's weight had dropped to within 10 pounds of the threshold requiring forced hospitalization, yet he denied there was any problem. He just want teeth. He just want teeth. He just want it. His mother began, then turning to Perry as if to show me the routine they'd been enacting. She refused to eat with his family, always claiming he wasn't hungry at the time, and that he preferred to eat later in his room. except that that rarely happened. New menus, gentle encouragement, veiled threats, nagging, and outright bribes had all been tried to no avail. Why wouldn't another? Why would an otherwise healthy 15-year-old boy be starving himself? The question hung urgently in the air as we all talked.
Okay. So what we need to do here is go back up and review any of the vocabulary that is difficult. We want to be able to understand what we just read in
Yeah,
order to make sure that we don't miss out on what the last part means. This is a an activity that is a little more difficult or challenging, but it is still suitable for the beginner, intermediate, and advanced learner.
yeah,
So if you would, Vincenzo, tell me again, as we look here in the first paragraph, as 15-year-old Perry shuffled into my office with his parents trailing tentatively behind, he glanced at me with a strained, neutral expression that I'd found usually masked either great anger or great distress.
yeah,
In Perry's case, it was both. Although anorexia is a disorder most often associated with girls, Perry was the third in a line of anorexic boys I had recently seen.
yeah.
What challenges does that paragraph present for you, if any?
Do you do you mean challenge for me? The difficulties?
Yes, that would be the challenge. What difficulties did you experience with that paragraph?
Yes, it's a description that is in some way contrasting. It's not so. It's like a feeling of the therapist, I think,
Hmm.
about this meeting. The first mm, encounter. Can I say encounter? No, the first
Correct. The first encounter.
the
It was
first
the first encounter.
the
The,
first encounter with this girl. This
it's a
girl.
boy, but this is a boy.
Ah, it's a boy. Sì, Narc boys. Sì, it's a boy. Yes. Sì, because from the aspect, no,
Hmm.
we this is only by the aspect of this boy, no, how he's looked, he looked, and yes, this there is this sensation, this feeling of what the therapist feel is anger and distress
Okay.
from.
Now the therapist is not experiencing um, anger. It is this
No, 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 no. Yes, yes. Experience it from the other people. Yes, he feel from the other people that these people has a feeling of anger or kind
Okay.
of distress, a feeling of anger and distress. Yeah,
Okay. Good. Okay.
and
So
this
in
is
this.
only this sensation, this feeling, and the other feeling is that. This boy is the third that they had and, at the end had recently seen. So they,
Good.
they,
Mhm.
they had treated before
Good.
the
Hmm.
third in this case.
And normally, who do they treat?
Normally there is a disturb associated with girls, and
Good.
perhaps we find something strange about this fact, no? Because
Okay.
he normally associate this disturb with girls, but in this case it's a boy. Yes,
Good.
this
Okay.
is another
All right.
another feeling. And the first feeling is this feeling of distress or anger. The other strange thing that he proved is this let's say illness. Let's say illness is
Hmm.
normally was or normally he thought was normally associated with girls,
Good.
and the third, yes, he thought that this was the third case that he's going to treat. Going
Okay.
to, yes, these three things perhaps about the first encounter.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you, Vincenzo.
Yeah.
Carmen, can you unmute your microphone and tell me if this paragraph gave you any difficulty? Do you have any questions about this paragraph?
Um, yes,
Vincenzo, please mute.
yes, yes,
Vincenzo.
yes, yes, yes.
Uh,
Carmen?
yes, Priscilla, I've got trouble with the verb shuffle.
Okay. Shuffle. Okay. I'm going to go with that. Shuffle.
And I think that was it. I didn't quite understand what it meant
Okay.
by that. Mhm.
All right. So I'm going to summarize this, and I hope that from the two of you, the vocabulary for both of you will be enhanced by what I tell you. When we talk about the aspect, it is the way that it is viewed. So this therapist is working with that ANOREXIC and refuses or is typically ANOREX with girls. Um, sensation. The therapist may anger. Okay, and then the um, okay, the parent brought he wanted to attend medical help. If you can get this picture in your mind, look at this boy's face here, Carmen. He looks sad. He doesn't seem that he has a lot of energy or he's in any hurry to get anywhere. So his parents are most likely saying, Johnny, come on, hurry, Johnny. Walk a little faster. Let's get to the office so we can be on time. And he said, Oh, Mom, I don't need to go to a doctor. I'm fine. And he slowly picks one foot up and he drags it in front of the other. Do you understand how he might be shuffling his feet, Carmen?
Yes, I get it right now. Yeah,
Okay,
that
so
he's
he's
reluctant to go, and he
very
doesn't want
good. An
to go.
excellent word. He's reluctant, not because he wanted, but perhaps his parents insisted that he needed some medical help.
I get it.
And so
Priscilla, just one thing. I'm sorry to interrupt you. There must be something wrong with the sound because I cannot hear you. It breaks up a little bit from time to time. So I don't know if it's on your side or my side.
Okay, I don't. Well, on my side, I just quickly looked. My microphone is registering wonderfully well. Your sound is good to me.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. How does
Okay
it
then.
sound to you, Vincenzo? Does my sound come in normal,
Yes, yes,
Vincenzo?
it's very clear. No, it's very clear. Yes.
Okay, so maybe.
Okay, yes, just one thing. What I'm just going to do, I'm just going to leave the room and I'm just going to get back in a minute. Just to
Okay,
make sure. Okay, sorry, but
okay,
be right back.
all right. So, Vincenzo,
Yes.
now
Yeah.
I've given a summary of that first
Yeah.
paragraph. We're going to look at the second one now, where we talk about when he came to see me, Perry's weight. We're going to talk about his weight, and let's go with insert table again. No, I don't want it there though. I want it down here. I want to insert it down here. Okay, well it won't go there. So we're going to put it here. Insert a table. Now we're going to look at when he came to see me, Perry's weight had dropped to within 10 pounds of the threshold requiring hospitalization. Yet he denied there was a problem. He just won't eat, his mother began. Then, turning to Perry as if to show me the routine they'd been enacting, she asked with tears in her eyes, Perry, why can't you at least have a simple dinner with us? Perry refused to eat with his family, always charming, always claiming he wasn't hungry at the time, and that he preferred to eat later in his room, except that rarely ever happened. New menus, gentle encouragement, veiled threats, nagging, and outright bribes had been all tried to no avail. Why would an otherwise healthy 15-year-old boy be starving himself? The questions hung urgently in the air as we all talked. Okay, what difficulties are in this passage part, Vincenzo? What difficulties what difficulties were there here?
No, no. About the meaning and the scenes of this paragraph. I don't know if this is a question when they are in front of the therapist, or it's a thought, if see a thought by themselves.
Okay,
Are
no.
are they reflecting about the situation by themselves, or are they saying this in front of the therapist? When they say he just won't eat, mother began. So they are in front of the therapist, I think. No? Yes. Is it so?
Expressing their views and concerns in front of the therapist.
Mm. So is it so? They are talking to the therapist when they are saying,
Yes, they are.
Perry, why can't,
They are.
but they are saying, why, Perry, why can't you at least have a simple dinner with us? This is a reflection by themselves, I think. It's not for the
Well,
therapist.
then see, when he came to see me, Perry's weight had dropped to within 10 pounds. They are in the doctor's office or in the psychiatrist's office now when
Yes,
they're talking about him losing
yes.
to within 10 pounds.
Yeah, they want
And
to,
if he drops some more, he's going to be put into the hospital. Yet he's denying that there is a problem. He just won't eat, his mother began. So if his
okay,
mother began, she can't
okay,
be,
okay. Yes.
she has to be speaking to someone. Then she turned to Perry as if to show the
Uh,
routine that they'd been enacting. She asked Perry in with tears in her eyes while she was still sitting in front of the therapist.
yeah, always in the front of the therapist.
Mm-hmm.
Always. Perry, why
Yes.
can't you? And she's talking to his son, to her son, and they are showing the way they are soliciting him, no? Perry, why
That
can't
is
you?
that is correct.
Okay,
They're
why can't
talking
you?
to the therapist, but while they're talking to the therapist, one can say they're talking as if the therapist is not there. They're not talking directly to the therapist. They're
Yes,
talking to their son.
the
Mhm.
son.
Sometimes husbands and wives will be in the same room, and the husband will say to the children, your mother doesn't want you to do this. And the mother says, I can speak for myself. Don't talk
Mhm.
as if I'm not here. So they're talking as if the therapist is not there, but the therapist is observing
Yes,
the
yes, yes.
regular behavior of
The
the
situation.
parent and the child.
Okay, okay.
Okay?
Priscilla,
What?
I've got a question for you.
Yes.
When you say, when it says, well, he has dropped a lot of weight and he's right of the threshold. Can you
Mhm.
scroll up a little bit? Yeah, the threshold requiring for the hospitalization. That means that he has dropped a lot. His weight has dropped a lot, and he's just on the verge of just going to the hospital if he keeps losing weight. Is that
Mhm.
is that
That
what
is
it is?
correct.
Ah,
Well,
okay then.
yes, and what you want to better understand is the word
Threshold.
threshold.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
what is threshold, teacher? Because I don't understand very well this word,
Okay.
threshold.
Okay. It's at that point where you start to begin to experience something.
Mm-hmm. It's
Mhm.
like the limits. It's like when he goes through that threshold, he's going to go to hospital.
Yes, if he lose
Mm-hmm.
one more pound,
Mm-hmm.
what is going to happen to him, Carmen?
He's going to go to hospital because
He's
he
going
has
to go.
dropped so much weight.
Ah,
That
the
is
point
correct.
in which you start to experience something in front of the terrible threshold.
Okay. So, for example, Vincenzo, when you
Yeah,
met your wife for the very first time, you
yeah,
thought, oh, she's pretty, she's nice.
yeah.
Then you went out with her for a long time and you thought, wow, without her in my life would be incomplete. So you reached that point, that threshold when you realized she was the one.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. The kind of way when you are, experiencing something new. It's something
Hmm.
about that you are aware of something. Mm,
Okay, here's another example
mm, yes,
of
okay.
is wonderful. The very brim where it's not spilling out. It is, but if exceed or out. Do you see?
Mm. So the threshold is the border. Nothing.
Hmm.
Yeah, it could be the border. It could be that tipping point, the
The
thresh.
yes, the limit of something.
That's it. Like
Uh,
the edge or something.
could be yes,
Great. Okay.
the end of something, the end of the limit. Yes, threshold. Threshold. So a fence could be a threshold. No, yes.
The situation.
The discuss in front of the therapist. See. Hmm. Yeah, there is.
Yeah. admitted.
I shall wait.
So that is a summary of what we know so far. All right. So now,
Yeah.
Carmen, would you read lines 15 to line 25 until you get to the word regard?
Okay. Let's be clear from the outset. Perry was a smart, good kid, shy, and assuming. What is it? Unassuming. Can you
Oh,
scroll up a little bit? Sorry.
sorry. Okay.
Sorry, it's okay. Unassuming and generally unlikely to cause trouble. He was getting straight A's in a challenging and competitive public school honors curriculum that spring. And he later
Oh,
told me that he had gotten a B on his report card since fourth grade. In some ways, he was every parent's dream child. But beneath his academic success, Perry faced a world of troubles. And while he took a while to get to know, eventually the problems came pouring out. Pouring out. The problem weren't the problems weren't what I had expected, though. Perry wasn't abused, he didn't do drugs, and his family wasn't driven by conflict. Rather, at first glance, his problems would seem more like typical adolescent adolescent complaints, sorry, and they were in a way. But it was only as I got to understand him that I realized the adolescent problems Perry experienced weren't just occasional irritations, and they've been for me and my cohorts as teens, but rather had grown to the point where they cast a large shadow over much of his day-to-day world. I later come to realize that Perry wasn't alone in that regard.
okay. So what we're going to do now is take a look at this paragraph. Carmen,
Yeah.
what difficulties did you find in this part?
Hmm.
This is the therapist talking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I gather that what he can see from the child that he's got very good marks at school, but there's something wrong in that, and he's he thinks he's not just like adolescence. How do you pronounce that word? Adolescence.
Ado adolescence. I'm not sure.
Adolescence. Yeah, adolescence. It's not like the typical kids that got problems in adolescence, but he's just something more. So he wants to find out what's wrong with him.
Okay. So the okay, his this is what I'm thinking, that the therapist has not had much experience with Perry's situation. Because what he's accustomed to is students who are doing poorly in school and they're usually on drugs, but that is not the case with Perry. Vincenzo, what challenges did this paragraph present for you, if any? Just this paragraph here. Maybe none?
Yes, I must say that I didn't catch anything about this paragraph, but some words weren't very clear for me, like outset.
Okay, outset.
Let's be clear from the outset.
Okay, out
Yes.
equal to the. So let me An example, BGNING. Set of the pond, the water is clear at the beginning, at the outset. When I think of the lake, I think you can use outset at the lake, but we're just talking about at the beginning.
At the
When we
beginning.
start out, when we start out to a setting, I'm just literally taking the word apart, outset. When I look at it at the beginning,
Mm,
outside, at the outside in the setting, the
mm.
beginning of the day, at the outset of the day, or we might usually say onset of the day.
Onset is the beginning. No,
Out,
onset of the day.
all of it the same. Outset equal the beginning.
Okay.
Onset, it's
Um,
all the same.
was
So,
Max was kid shy? Yes, this is a description from Perry. Was smart, good kid, shy, mass measuring, unassuming.
are we looking in this paragraph? Let's be clear from the outset. Perry was smart, unassuming. Okay, this unassuming.
What is unassuming? What is unassuming?
Okay, when we
It's
look at the word,
actually the opposite of assumed.
that is correct, because here you have the word un equals not. Assume means to presume uh, or to pretend, um, or assume, make. Okay, that is what assume means. Assume is you're not necessarily sure, but you'll go on that, uh, accepting it as proof. Assuming is to
To assume, yes, when you are not sure about something that you can it's a sensation that you can, the feeling that you can't explain very well something. Uh, but it's an intuition, like an intuition.
okay. It's a sensation that you can achieve something. Okay, now remember this. The remember Perry is at the hospital.
Mm.
Can answer this. Can we assume that he most likely will be admitted to
Mhm.
Senso? Can we assume that Perry will most likely be admitted to the hospital? Yes or no?
Yes, I think so. I think yes.
Okay,
I think it's losing weight.
and what are you assuming? What are you assuming that on that he most likely will be admitted to the hospital?
Because it's how do you say? It's a border. It's a border case, something like
Yeah,
this.
that's right.
Kind of
He's a
suspicion.
borderline case. But now I want you to tell me what is this? So we are saying we can assume that Perry most likely will be admitted to the hospital, but the mother says, "No, no, don't assume. Do not assume that he will be admitted." So unassumingly, the mother is resisting the idea. So
Mhm.
what is the mother doing, Vincenzo? The mother is unassuming.
It's not going to accept the idea to.
Yes, that is correct. She's not going to accept. So unassume means to not accept. Very good.
Not accepting the idea that his son, he had a son, is going to the hospital. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's he is taken to the hospital.
Okay.
Yeah,
And what other word did you have, Vincenzo?
yeah, yes, Adam. Well, he was getting straight in the ass. Yes, all this is about his way. So he was a very clever boy at school, and so no,
Well,
he's
it's not so much that he's clever. He's a very smart boy.
smart
I
boy.
But
And
when I hear the word clever, I think of someone who is very tricky and mischievous.
Mhm.
But no, he's not a mischievous boy. He's a very smart boy. He does his schoolwork, and the word curriculum is
yeah,
related to his
yeah,
course of study.
fourth grade, huh? Since fourth grade, I don't know what. Yes, this scale, fourth
Okay.
grade.
Well,
Since
here
fourth grade.
here in the US,
Yeah.
we go to school. We go to K through
Uh,
12. We go
uh,
to kindergarten, then we have first grade, we have second grade,
uh,
third grade,
yes.
fourth grade,
Uh, till the fourth grade.
fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade,
When
seventh grade, eighth grade,
and what is the
ninth grade,
alternate?
10th, and then 11th. And then
When
now in the K through K through 5, K through
uh,
5 is elementary.
yes.
Mhm.
6 here in our state, 6
Six,
through
10.
8th
Uh,
is middle,
uh,
and ninth through
12.
mhm,
Right.
yeah.
Uh,
That's how ours is regimented here in the States. All right.
8, and 12. Yes, elementary, middle, and high.
Hmm.
Mm.
Any other challenges in this passage,
Yes, yes,
Vincenzo?
yes. This is something I created tool. Yes. Yes, and in some way, he was every parent's dream child. Yes. So apart from his illness, his mental disturbed disorder, yes, he
Well,
was a very smart boy at school.
hmm,
Yes,
very good.
and then the end says that the dreams child from bad parents and stuff.
Yeah, he's a dream child.
Dream,
Apart from him having that eating disorder, he is
yeah,
every parent's dream. He doesn't cause problems at home. He doesn't cause problems at school. He does his work. The teachers like him. So he's the model child.
yeah,
Okay. So
yes,
now let's take a look at mm, this one. But beneath his academic success, Perry faced a world of troubles. And while he took a while to get to know, and while he took a while to get to know, eventually the problems came pouring out. The problems weren't what I'd expected, though. Perry wasn't abused, he didn't do drugs, and his family wasn't driven by conflict. Rather, at first glance, his problems would seem more like typical adolescence complaints. And they were, in a way. But it was only as I got to understand him that I realized the adolescent problems Perry experienced weren't just occasional irritations as they'd been for me and my cohorts as teens, but rather had grown to the point where they cast a large shadow over much of his day-to-day world. I'd later come to realize that Perry wasn't alone in that regard. Here is your onset or outset. This is the outset, Vincenzo. It's at first glance. That
mm,
is that is your outset as
okay.
well. Your outset also means at first glance. Okay?
So at the beginning,
At the beginning.
yes,
Now, what challenges or difficulties did you have with this passage?
not difficulty. Yes, and the meaning, always the meaning, teacher, because there is something contrasting in this way, you know.
Which
It's
word is this?
no contrasting. Do you want to ask me about words, or you want to ask me
Either.
about? Uh,
Either.
yes, it seems to me that it's not only the problem for these boys, but he has discovered something that there is something involved, but it's not only mm, for these boys. There's
Yes.
something that comes from I think from his parents. I don't know exactly.
Okay. Well, we don't know yet because we'll find out in another paragraph,
I don't
but
know.
we don't.
But it's not a problem so only for the boy, but
Hmm.
it could be something, but it's not very clear what it is.
Exactly. And if you remember, the the therapist said that his observation is that Perry has an unusual situation, and it's one that he has not had much experience with himself. The therapist has not had much experience with this type of behavior. What
Hmm.
the therapist is familiar with is a child that has drug problems, or he has problems getting along with his parents or his teachers
Mm,
or something. But that's not the case right
yeah.
now. It has
It's
not been identified what the problem is at this point.
yes. He's talking about some problem, adolescent problem, but perhaps he is not sure about this.
Yeah, that is correct. At this point, the therapist is not sure what the problem is.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm.
What
Yes,
about?
because this is a case that is not like the other cases
Hmm.
that he treated, no?
That is correct.
That's
This
because
situation is
there is not a
different.
problem of drug. And what about other cases? I don't know. Yes, because this kind of disorder could come from drug uh,
Abuse. Is
or
it?
something like
From
Sorry.
that.
drug abuse. But
Mm.
we know already that Perry is not on drugs. We
Yes, I
know
know.
that he is a good student. But what we don't know at this point, but we will find out, but at this point in this paragraph or up to this point, we don't know what
We
the
don't know. Yes,
problem
we
is.
don't know. There is only an observation. It's only an observation. It's a thought of the therapist that this is not. That's not like the other cases where there were a problem, adolescent problem or problems of drugs. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm,
So the therapist, so I'm going to summarize.
yeah.
The
And seems
therapist
very, very strange, no?
does
The
not
therapy
want to
disoriented.
with Perry
Sensation, a feeling of disorientation. Yeah.
that this for him medical therapy. Carmen, do you have any questions about this paragraph?
No, it's okay. I get it now.
Okay. Okay. So we still have it might be okay. This is one of the reasons I do not like the long passages. One, it doesn't give you all the opportunity to practice speaking, but you are learning. But learning outside of being able to talk about it, for me, serves very little purpose because most language learners don't have difficulty understanding what you've read. The difficulty is communicating it outward. So that's why I don't like the long passages. So let me quickly read this so we can find out what Perry's problem is. One big problem was, while Perry was a strong achiever, he was not always a happy one. I hate waking up in the morning because there's all this stuff I have to do, he said. I just keep making lists of things to do and checking them off every day. Not just schoolwork, but extracurricular activities, so I can go into a good college. Once he got started, Perry's discontent spilled out in a frustrated monologue. The word monologue means a continuous conversation. So now, in this passage, Perry is talking to his parents and to the therapist, and he's saying, I hate everything about my life. I have to do this, I have to do that, and I have to go to college. That's probably why he gets good grades, because he knows it's expected that he will go to college.
Mhm.
Okay? There's so much to do, and I have to really work to get myself motivated because I feel like none of it really matters. But it's really important that I do it anyway. At the end of it all, I stay up late, I get all my homework done, and I study really hard for all my tests. And what do I get to show for it? A single sheet of paper with 5 or 6 letters on it. It's just stupid.
Mhm.
What he's saying here is he goes to school every day. He never misses a day. He stays up late to make sure he has his homework to turn in. And the only thing he gets from his teacher is 5 or 6 words, which probably says, Very good job, Perry. I like your work. He gets that all the time. Now, the next paragraph says, Perry was gifted enough to jump through the academic hoops that had been set for him, but it felt like more than hoop jumping, and this ate at him. But this wasn't his only problem. So it sounds like not only does he does things to please people by jumping through hoops, that's what jumping through hoops mean, that you'll do anything for anybody. That's
Mhm.
called hoop jumping.
I don't understand this paragraph, teacher.
Okay, well, let me get to the end and we'll get back to it. Perry was well loved by his parents, as
Yeah.
most of the young people we see. But in their efforts to nurture and support him, his parents inadvertently increased his mental strain. Over time, they had taken all of his household chores in order to leave him more time for schoolwork and activities. This is his top priority, they said almost in unison when asked about this. So the parents is taking ownership of doing everything at the house. Perry probably does not even make up his bed. He
Mhm.
doesn't wash dishes. He doesn't clean the bathroom. He doesn't do anything at home but study. He studies, he studies, he studies. His parents does all the chores. Although removing the chores from Perry's plate gave him a bit more time, it ultimately left him feeling useless and tense. He never really did anything for anyone except suck up their time and money, and he knew it. And he thought about backing off on this schoolwork. Well, how much his parents were pouring into him to make it go well? Sandwiched between fury and guilt, Perry had literally begun to wither. The word wither means to die, because his parents were not really allowing him to experience being a kid. All that they wanted for him was for him to get a good education, and they allowed him not to do any work. He only got to play in simple sports. He didn't really have any friends because his parents didn't let him interact with anyone. They wanted him to study, study, and study. All right, so that is a summary of what the problem is. And as you were saying earlier, Vincenzo, there was something like a contrast. The problem isn't Perry, but this is opinion. The problem is his parents. His parents are not allowing him to be a
Yeah.
child.
Yeah.
Okay, so this takes us to the top of the hour. Let's take time now for final word. I will say that I enjoyed reading this story, and this story was pretty much created for students who are a little very advanced, actually, because, well, let me see if I can get out of this thing. This story is for the more advanced students. No. Stop sharing. I can't stop sharing. Why can't I stop sharing? Okay, I'm frozen. Anyway, this story is for the advanced student that is working on the GRE, SAT, or the PSAT, and I thought I'd give myself a hand at that. All
Mhm.
right.
That
All
is
right.
in
So,
teacher. Okay.
Carmen, final words for you.
Theory, I learned a lot of words, and I found for me, I think I find it very rewarding. I really liked it, even
Okay.
though it's true that the text was a little bit too long. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
very interesting one anyway.
Okay. Thanks for your comments, and I would agree that this was a much longer story than I typically would have, because it the deciphering of what it actually meant took away from the student exploring the use of using their voice in talking. Okay, thank you, Carmen. Vincenzo, final words, please.
Yes, yes. This story is very interesting, but requests a lot of
Mm-hmm.
reflection about it. So, in this case, I noted a different way to to treat your lesson, to manage your lesson in teacher.
Okay, and what way
Yeah,
is that? What way is
yeah.
that,
Yes,
Vince?
it's more about comprehension. That in order that the previous lesson when we had to improvise, so
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah,
this, about the story. So in this case, I think because it's a very long story, you have to understand it very well, no? So we
yeah,
have to try to understand the meanings overall. Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Yeah, that you're absolutely correct. This one was more about comprehension than
Comprehension.
speaking.
Yes, yes, yes,
Primarily, my classes are about conversational speaking.
yes.
Okay,
Normally, conversational classes. No, I know that. But
uh,
now, yes, I have found something different. Something,
okay. Well,
something.
I hope that you appreciated the difference.
Yes.
All right. All right. Well, thank you very much both for attending my session, Escaping the Endless Adolescence. I will have this lesson again, but the good thing is when you both return and I'm teaching this lesson again, it is one that you will know. All right.
Okay.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you,
Okay.
Priscilla. Have
Thank
a
you.
nice day. Bye-bye.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye, Priscilla. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
And I'm still frozen, I think. I want to end it. Stop the broadcast.